That's quite a few dudes pulling up.
Are you a Templar main? Maybe you're a bit confused or lost as to what direction you want to take your build this patch after the recent, unfortunate assassination of some of your favorite skills? Or maybe you're a fledgling Templar, looking to harness the power of your inner holy warrior and fight for whatever god you may choose.
The Nine Divines!
Well, either way, don't you worry, my sweet, sweet little nerd, because Papa Kuro has the fix for you. In today's video, I will be guiding you guys through my Templar PvP build for this patch, with all the juicy information that you may want or need. Mind you, I did say Templar build as opposed to Stamplar or Magplar, because quite honestly the best way to play Templar and just about every other class in this current meta is to walk the path of the hybrid, unfortunately. So, that's what we have done. This build has big damage, great mobility, and absolutely insane healing, all of which you will be very, very thankful for when you decide to take your spear out onto the battlefield for some gratuitous violence. Before we dive in though, I would really appreciate it if you guys might take just a moment of your time to click that thumbs up button down below and maybe consider subscribing for future ESO and variety content, including more builds like this one. With that bit of YouTuber shilling out of the way though, let's go ahead and dive on in, shall we?
Go away, you dweebs. You smell bad.
Alright guys, we're gonna dive on in here. I'm gonna try to make this nice and quick. Obviously Templar has got some problems right now. It's not doing the greatest, but it is still, it's still playable, it's still viable, it still gets the job done in a lot of situations, though there are some tough spots. And, hey, it is what it is. It happens, alright? But us Templar mains, we're gonna stick it out. We've stuck through all the other bad patches. We had our time, now it's time to settle down and humble ourselves a bit. So let's go ahead and dive on into the build here. Starting off with the stats, I guess we'll do the stats just because. Can't fully buff here, but as you can see, we have... Oh, wrong bar. We have 45.8% crit chance, which is very important. We have 5670 spell damage, which is also very important. That will go up to about 6k at base when we are in PvP due to our rallying cry, which we are wearing. We also have a weapon and spell damage enchant, so we can get that up even higher if we want. It's on our back bar here, so if we pop that onto the front bar now, 6185, throw another 300 on top of that, we're probably going to be sitting around 6500 when we're fully buffed. Pretty nice, pretty nice. I tried to split the difference with Magicka and Stamina pretty evenly at about 20k each. You could probably drop Magicka down to around 18k to pump more Stamina. Let's get a little bit more damage and healing if you wanted to. However, things do start to get a little spicy at around that 18k range. I've got 27k health. You can definitely increase that if you want to. Just keep in mind you're going to have to make some small sacrifices to do so. If you're okay with that, then go for it. With our pot, we have about 1400 of both of our primary recoveries, which is plenty. We don't really need more than that. Our resistances are not very, very high because I'm trying a couple different things. There are ways to increase this, but honestly, I feel like it's not too bad, especially considering we have vigor. So we're looking at about 26 spell and 24 physical on both bars here because I'm not using a defending weapon, but you definitely can if you don't feel comfortable. And then we do get above 30,000 crit resist on this build as well. I am a Khajiit. I don't know if you could tell by the tail in the back. I'm a floofy boy, and I do not recommend playing this on anything but a Khajiit. Otherwise, you're going to be fucking yourself in the butt. And while that is totally okay, and, let your freak flag fly, I don't recommend it. And we are using the Thief Mundus stone because critical is very, very important. We're also a Vamp Stage 3. We're going to talk about all that stuff later, though. Let's go ahead and dive on into the sets. Pretty straightforward here. I am using the Axes of Order's Wrath here on the front bar. We are just stacking big boy critical damage. The thing I really like about Order's Wrath is that it does both. It gives us a pretty damn nice chunk of a critical rate as well as critical damage. So it kind of does both jobs for us. And that also has a pretty good 2, 3, and 4 piece, giving us a lot of crit and some extra weapon spell damage. However, I would say that Mechanical Acuity is arguably a better choice for this build. I just don't like playing around it. Mechanical acuity will definitely make it really easy to put some people down inside the mechanical acuity window, but outside of the mechanical acuity window, you're kind of shit bricked, so you gotta be careful with it. Either one of these works. I really like Order's Wrath because pretty solid crit rate overall. We do get above 50% when we proc our poison here. We'll talk about that later though. And pretty good crit damage as well. Just stacking together there, working as a team. I'm using 2 axes, like I said, for more crit damage. 1 nerd honed, 1 sharpened. You could fuck around and use like a precise or something if you want even more crit rate, but that's up to you. I like the sharpen just for that flat damage. Then on the back bar, I do have a Rallying Cry Restoration Staff. I'm using precise right now because I'm testing, I think, a higher crit on my back bar to see how reliable that makes my healing. Because with the big boy critical modifiers we have on this build, getting a couple crit heals on the back bar is kind of life-saving. However, you could also go defending. You could even go powered if you wanted to. I feel like defending might be the best choice, but I do sometimes hit myself with some pretty fat crit Honor the Deads and get myself out of some really risky business that I shouldn't have been in the first place. So precise has been nice, but that's a preference thing. Figure that out on your own. Of course, I have a weapon and spell damage enchant there. Rallying Cry, I'm sure you know what it does, but in case you don't, gives us crit, max magicka, and then while we have battle spirit, so while we are in a PvP area, if we critically heal, we gain 300 weapon and spell damage, as well as 1650 critical resistance for 20 seconds. This is a really, really solid uptime. It's just about always up. If you're in a group with more people, that will go down, but even in that situation, it is still pretty damn solid. I'm using a Restoration Staff because of the utility that it provides. It gives us better sustain with heavy attacks and access to the Restoration Staff ultimate. However, you could also use a Frost Staff if you like to block. Again, that is totally up to you. When it comes to our monster set, we are using Battle Org because big old damage gives us a line of weapon spell damage, and then when we use an ultimate, we gain a bunch of weapon and spell damage as well as penetration. Very simple, just full damage set, just bring in the hurt. That's what we need Battle Org for. With the way Templar is right now, you need as much damage as possible on demand, so that's why we're using it. Then I do have 1 trainee, heavy reinforced gallant chain chest piece here, which you can pick up in Stros Makai through the quest. If you didn't already know that, go grab one. And yeah, this is just to give us some extra health. You guys already know, I'm sure. Filling in with more orders and Rallying Cry as well here on the jewelry. And then I'm using the Mark and Ring of Majesty. I tried very desperately, I don't have it in my inventory right now, to use the Sea Serpent necklace, but I could not. Being slow on the Templar when you're trying to jab people is just miserable. So we went with the Mark and Ring for this build. It gives us some bulk, some additional armor, which is nice, makes us a little bit tankier, and some always constant persistent weapon spell damage. If you really want to get frisky and pump up the damage more, you could try Sea Serpent, but I promise you, it is not fun trying to jab people while you are snared by Sea Serpent, but you can give it a shot if you want to. Both are very, very strong. Sea Serpent is arguably better, but it's just, it's inconvenient and annoying, so I'm not using it. I am using, let's talk about weights here. I'm using 3 light, 3 medium, and 1 heavy. That gives us a very nice balance between critical damage, critical rate, penetration, and weapon spell damage. If you want, you could try and, you know, mess around with the weights a little more to your liking. If I were going to change anything, I'd probably go more light, you know, just to get a little bit of extra crit chance, and the pen is quite nice too. However, I think this is a very good balance. Don't go more heavy though, you're just going to be doing yourself a disservice. Everything, or at least as many things as I can get. Oh, this is sturdy. Well, I'm going for as much well-fitted as possible here, so that way we can dodge roll very consistently, because that is kind of a primary defensive tool, is dodge rolling. However, one thing you could also try is going Divines, which will pump up our critical bonus even more, so we crit more consistently for bigger heals, bigger damage. I haven't tried that yet, but I've thought about it. I just don't have the resources to go making a whole new set right now, but I'm using well-fitted most of the way through here because I like to roll dodge a shit ton. It's very comfortable for me. It's kind of my play style, so that's what I do. And then for the jewelry traits, we are all swift, because I like to go fast. You could go infused with spell damage here. The more infused you have, the more damage you'll have. The more speed you have, the less damage you have. It's not a huge difference, but if you were to go all infused, you'd be looking at 300 extra spell damage. That's basically a 5-piece set, so, you know, that's your choice. If you're playing with a few friends and you've got some off heals, you know, you could definitely drop some of this swift, go for some infused, get extra damage. However, me as a solo player, I just want to be as quick as humanly possible so I can get out of the shit that I get myself into. Everything is spell damage enchants, and all of the armor are triglyphs. Very expensive, but you want to do that. That's it for the gear. Let's talk about skills. Start here on the back bar. Boop, boop, boop. Alright, Honor the Dead. You know what this is. This is our burst heal. Don't use this unless you are really in danger, unless your sphincter is clenching super, super tightly. Trust me, you don't need it as much as you think you do. Spamming this is going to ruin your sustain and really fuck you over, so be very, very kind to your Honor the Dead button. Don't spam it. Don't spam it. Then we're using Race Against Time. This gives us Major Expedition and, Snare immunity. This is our get out of jail card. This is our run the fuck away card. Very, very nice ability here. It also gives us 10% extra critical damage, just making us do a lot more hurt. I like this skill quite a lot. It also gives us a shield when we block on the back bar here, which is just a nice little bonus. However, I am a stage 3 vampire, and I have toyed around with... Where is vampire? Did I pass vampire? I sure did. I've also used Elusive Mist. Elusive Mist is also super, super good. It gives us 300 weapon and spell damage. Sorry if I just blew in your ear there. Some leftover lunch, I think? Anyway. Elusive Mist. This makes us very tanky, helps us get out of a lot of dangerous situations, also gives us a little bit of weapon and spell damage when we come out through this passive here. 300, that is nothing to slouch at. Very good, especially if you are misting to get out of danger and you are at low health. You get over here behind the wall, you come out, now you have the bonus weapon spell damage, you can get some bigger heals. It's very nice, both are very good. I don't know which one I like better personally. I've swapped between the two. Honestly, they are both amazing and they both outperform each other in different ways. And I promise you, no matter which one you are using, you are going to get into a situation where you're like, damn, I wish I had the other one on. So pick and choose, mix it up. Really just depends on the fights you're getting. If you're being absolutely overwhelmed at every turn, go for Elusive Mist so you can get out of the danger and, you know, get that extra tankiness. And if you have, say, a better location to kite, or if you just want to be able to run as fast as possible, go with Race Against Time. That critical damage is also very, very nice. Then here I have Restoring Focus. This is the stamina morph here. This gives us back stamina, and this is one of our primary modes of sustaining our stamina. Because we are kind of a hybrid build, we really need that stamina sustain. It is also a bigger heal than the magical morph, which is, you know, minuscule, but it's nice. This is also our armor buff, all that good stuff. If you want to just tank up, then drop this thing down, stand in it, get all your hots up. You're gonna be pretty hard to kill. Extended Ritual, AoE heal over time. This gets rid of 5 negative effects. Super, super strong ability. Don't ever drop this off the Templar. Living Dark, this is another very strong heal. There's not much to say about Living Dark, honestly. It is just insane. It is insanely powerful. Even with the nerfs that it has taken, it is still one of the best healing abilities in the game. Just simply because of the way it works. You will notice a distinct difference. If you drop this, you will feel yourself dying way quicker. If you keep this up, you are damn near unkillable, especially in a 1v1 situation. It is astounding, honestly. It also makes people slow, which is nice. You know, helps us land our jabs more. Then for my ultimate, I am using Light's Champion. The reason I'm using this is because this is a healing ultimate. We need a defensive ultimate on this build, and this is very, very helpful in a pinch. Gives us a lot of healing over time, every second, when we are, you know, buffed up and stuff. Obviously 8k right now, you know, whatever. But I am actually using this morph specifically because when we cast it, it gives us 20% bonus critical damage. Our critical damage modifier is so high right now that this is actually falling off. I think we're only going to be getting like 11% because we reached the soft cap. However, more damage is more damage, especially in Balorg, so that's why I'm using this here. So when you combine Balorg with this Light's Champion, you get a whole lot of damage even when you pop your defensive ultimate. If you don't care about that extra 9-11% damage, then use the other morph. It is also very, very strong, and it is the one I have used more often. They're both very good. Onto the front bar, we have Resolving Vigor. Obviously, heal over time, very strong, gives us an armor buff, very strong, kind of a bitch to sustain. When you're set up like a Magplar, so that's why we had this is the skill that pushed me into playing hybrid, because I needed to have it and I need to be able to sustain it. So that's why we're here. We have Radiant Oppression, very, very strong, dodgeable beam execute. No reason not to run this. It is our primary way of putting people in the dirt. Camouflaged Hunter, this is to give us our major critical damage as well as minor berserk. Not too bad, not too bad. And also, even though it is very, very expensive, if there's Nightblades around, you can pop this, pull them out of stealth. And last thing is that we like that extra 3% weapon and spell damage for having it slotted. Very, very loaded skill, and I like it. Razor Caltrops, you want this. I used to have Purifying Light here. You can screw around. I don't even have Purifying Light anymore. I literally got rid of it because it was it's not pulling its weight. Let's see what the tooltip looks like. Yeah, the tooltip, the change to this thing is so bad. It's so fucking terrible, guys. But you can try it out if you want to. I'm using Razor Caltrops, however, because I like the AoE breach. This will give you major breach on the targets that take damage from it for 4 seconds when you have it fully leveled up. I do not, but this is going to help out a lot. When people step in it, they get very, very slow, which is awesome, helps land our jabs. They take more damage by quite a large bit, and yeah. Basically, the whole strat for this is just throw the Caltrops down, get people in it, ult them, jab them, beam them. That's all. Very simple. We're using Biting Jabs, Stamina Morph here once again, because it gives us our major sorcery, increasing our weapon and spell damage for 10 seconds. This means that we have our sorcery, both our sorcery and our crit buff, just naturally on our bars, so that opens up the ability to use Tri-Potions, which really, really helps our sustain. I like the other morph of Jabs better, however, it doesn't give you sorcery, so kind of have to make a sacrifice there. And then I'm using Dawnbreaker of Smiting. I don't know if you could tell, but I don't have a stun on this build, so I went with Dawnbreaker. It also hits incredibly hard. A lot of people out there are vampires, so they're going to take even more damage. This thing stuns. It costs more. We're using Balorg, so the more our ultimate costs, the more damage we are going to get when we cast it, just naturally. So it's very nice to have. If you can actually land it, that is. It is a real bitch to land, but it's got a very strong dot, very potent, and it's just a good ultimate. It stuns everyone you hit. If they are in the Caltrops, you know they're going to be nice and slow. Come around the corner, drop this on their heads, start jabbing and praying. If you get a lot of lucky crits, I have crit people for like 17k with Dawnbreaker recently, and I'm very, very much enjoying it. And that is it for the skills. Lastly, not lastly, but next, let's talk about CP. Now, I don't have a lot of CP here on the PC NA server, but I'll show you what I do have. In green, nothing matters, except for you kind of want Gifted Rider and War Mount and the reduce fall damage passive. That's all that matters in green. I don't ever bother mentioning it, but sometimes people complain, so there we go. When it comes to my blue tree, I'm still not 100% sold on how I want to do this. I have been using Fighting Finesse, however, I think I prefer using Focused Mending just to get that extra consistent healing, so let's go ahead and put that back on. Then I am using Ironclad. I like this one because a lot of the stuff we're going to get hit by is direct damage, a lot of the big dangerous stuff, things like other Templars, jabs, surprise attack, frags, curse, lots of ultimates, spec bows, all the nasty shit is direct damage, so we would just get that extra bit of reduction there. And then we have a Biting Aura and Master at Arms. This is our AoE and direct damage, so this is for our jabs, this is for our Dawnbreaker, and this makes them hit very, very hard. So yeah, you could go with Focused Mending like I said, or you could go with Fighting Finesse. This will give you very similar healing when you crit, but more damage in general, which is nice. This is just more reliable healing, so that's a pick and choose kind of thing. Over here in the red tree, I am using Juggernaut, and let me tell you why I like Juggernaut. I think I already did this in my last build video, but fuck it, whatever. The blue CP got reduced down to 6% reduction, right? For very specific things. In the past, 5% reduction didn't sound like a whole lot, but now that we are getting less from the blue tree, having a 5% reduction to all damage every time we have CC immunity sounds very nice, especially considering you are going to have CC immunity most of the time because most people are going to stun you on cooldown. So that's basically a very, very high uptime 5% damage reduction. It's like having a free minor protection at all times. If you don't feel like that is good enough, just go for the extra health, bump up your health, be a little bit harder to 100 and 0. That's a choice thing. I definitely like this though. Then, in here, we are using all three of these bad boys. We got Pain's Refuge, which gives us a lot of mitigation depending on how many negative effects we have on us. We don't have a lot of magicka, so we can't really spam our cleanse, so this is nice to kind of balance it out a little bit. Then I have Sustained by Suffering. We really need this bi-stat sustain here because, you know, hybrid. And then I have Relentlessness, which gives us major protection every time we get stunned, which is so helpful. This combined with this, every time you get stunned and you break free, you have 15% damage mitigation for the next 3 seconds. Super nice. Another one you could mess around with if you don't care for Juggernaut is you can come in here and you can pick up Celerity if you want. Extra movement speed is always nice, but this is the way that I've been using the CP, and this is just kind of what I like the most. And that is it for the CP, guys. Lastly, let's touch on consumables. When it comes to my food that I'm using smoked bear haunch. Obviously, this is a very expensive food. Some of you may not be able to afford it or just don't want to waste the money on it. If you are one of those people, just pick up some Jewels of Misrule. It's a slightly worse version of this, but it's still very good. Also, I'd recommend, just for your sake, keep some Bloody Maras on you so you can manage your vampire stage. That's not specific to this build, that's just life advice. And coming on down here, I basically only use Tri-Stat Pots on this build, because it's all we really need. This is the most important potion. Very helpful in every situation. And I keep a shit ton of them on deck. I do also sometimes use Immove Pots. I don't have the right ones on me though right now. And I have Essence of Detection. I like these a lot as well, because sometimes those Nightblades are just being a bit too much of a pain in the ass, and you really need to go hunting them down, and you don't want to have to spam Camo Hunter. This is going to hurt your stamina sustain because they give us Magicka only, but if you're in a situation where you can deal with that, it's worth it to try to remove a Nightblade from the equation. And then lastly, I want to talk about my poison here. I'm using this specific poison because it gives us minor prophecy. This gives us a little bit over 5-6-ish% spell critical when this procs, which is nice. That gives us just more slapping power when this procs, as well as giving us a small disease dot for the next 6.4 seconds. Very strong. Not disease dot, poison dot, whatever. It's very nice. It's not super incredible. You could just run double dots or double hot here if you want, but I like the additional crit chance just to make sure we can do more crits, because that's where our damage is. That's what we are praying for pretty much at all times. So because I'm using these potions 9 times out of 10, I would recommend you start your combo with a heavy attack. Let's talk about combos real quick, because sometimes I know it helps you guys to see it. So as a Templar, when you're going into battle, you always want to make sure both of your circles are down first and foremost. Then we use Living Dark, very long uptime. Wait, did they change it? I thought it was 20 seconds. 12 seconds? Was that a change? Either way, it's still pretty good, pretty decent uptime there, 12 seconds. So remember to cast that, keep that up. With these 3 heals going, you're going to be very hard to put down. Now you have an offensive window. You can Vigor if you want to get that buff, or you can just use it when you need it. Really, it's up to you. Vigor is super strong, but you don't want to overcast it because your sustain is very important. So coming into combat here, buff up. Gonna go ahead and throw the old Caltrops. Heavy attack, hopefully the poison's proc into the Dawnbreaker. There we go, we got the Dawnbreaker crit. Now we're just jabbing. We're gonna pretend this guy's low health now, and we beam. It is that simple. That is all we're doing right now. And basically that's it. We're gonna kite around. We're gonna survive until we get our Dawnbreaker, and then go in for another set of slapping. Sometimes people will be squishy enough to just kill with jabs. Sometimes they won't. you're gonna have to test, you know, poke the targets, find the squishy ones, see which ones aren't healing themselves effectively, and essentially pray. You're gonna have to pray, because without Power of the Light we have no supplemental burst, and it can be really damn difficult to put some of these tanky assholes down. But that's just kind of the state of Templar. There is no real substitution for Purifying Light. You're just gonna have to figure it out on your own. But yeah, guys, that is it. That is it for the build. I hope this information was helpful to you. I hope you learned something. If you didn't, that's too bad. That's too damn bad. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Let me know if you use the build, if you're gonna try it, if you're gonna mix it up. If you think the build sucks and you know how to make it better, tell me down in the comments. Really, tell me. I don't mind. I feel like criticism is important. It's very, very healthy. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave now. You guys have a great day. I love you. Happy Templaring. Bye.